The neural interface. The ice tunnels of Europa whispered with the sound of rushing water deep below. Captain Sarah Chen's boots crunched against the crystalline floor as she led her team through the winding passages, their lights casting long shadows against the azure walls. The Johnston Research Station had detected unusual energy signatures in this region 3 days ago, but no one expected to find this. A vast chamber carved into the moon's icy crust, its walls lined with technology that definitely wasn't human in origin. "Status check," Chen called out, her voice steady despite the discovery that could rewrite human history. Her team of 5 spread out across the chamber, each carrying specialized scanning equipment that hummed softly in the pristine silence. "Energy readings are off the charts, Captain," Dr. Puddle reported, his dark eyes wide as he studied his instruments. "Whatever this facility is, it's still active after God knows how long." The chamber stretched nearly 100 meters in each direction, dominated by a central platform that rose from the floor like a frozen fountain. Curved panels of an unknown material spiraled upward, each one covered in circuits that pulsed with a soft, blue-white light. Chen approached the platform carefully, her helmet sensors recording everything for later analysis. "Martinez, got anything on the structural composition?" she asked, keeping her distance from the unknown technology. "It's unlike anything in our database, Captain," Lieutenant Martinez answered, running her scanner over one of the panels. "The material seems to shift at the molecular level when we try to analyze it, almost like it's responding to our presence." Chen was about to reply when something caught her eye. A depression in the central platform, roughly the size and shape of a human hand. The surface around it rippled with patterns of light that seemed to flow toward the impression like water seeking its level. Dr. Patel noticed it too. "Captain, those energy signatures are intensifying around that interface point. They're remarkably similar to human neural patterns, but operating at a complexity level we've never seen before." "Keep your distance," Chen ordered, but something about the interface called to her. Her training screamed caution. But her instincts, the same ones that had kept her alive through the Mars crisis and the Titan incident, told her this was important. She took a step closer, and the lights in the chamber pulsed in response. The depression in the platform began to emit a soft, warm glow. "Captain," Martins warned, "your neural activity is spiking just being near that thing." Chen removed her glove, feeling the cold air of Europa bite at her skin. "Record everything. If something goes wrong, get back to the station and contact Earth immediately." "Sarah, wait," Patel started, but Chen had already made her decision. She placed her hand in the depression. The world exploded into light and information. Chen felt her consciousness expand, connecting to systems vast beyond imagination. Images and concepts cascaded through her mind. Star maps, engineering schematics, mathematical formulae that made quantum physics look like basic arithmetic. But more than that, she felt presence, ancient, patient, waiting. The facility had been waiting for someone who could interface with it, someone with the right kind of mural architecture, someone human. When Chen pulled her hand away, she was on her knees, gasping. Her team rushed to help her up, but she waved them off, her mind racing to process what she'd experienced. "Captain," Martins asked, concern evident in her voice, "are you all right?" Chen stood slowly, her eyes fixed on the platform that now hummed with renewed energy. "Get me a secure link to command," she said. "They need to know what we found." "What exactly did we find?" Patel asked. Chen turned to face her team, her expression a mixture of wonder and concern. "A key," she answered. "A key that only humanity can use. And I have a feeling that whoever left it here is going to notice that we've just turned it." As if in response to her words, the entire chamber thrummed with power, and new sections of wall began to slide away, revealing more rooms, more technology, more mysteries. But Chen's attention was drawn to a holographic display that had materialized above the platform, showing a three-dimensional map of the solar system with Europa at its center. Red lines spread outward like a web, connecting to points beyond Neptune's orbit. Dr. Patel, Chen said, her voice tight with controlled excitement, begin full documentation. Martinez, set up a security perimeter. Something tells me we're about to have company. The neural interface had activated something far bigger than a single alien facility. Chen could still feel echoes of the connection in her mind, fragments of understanding that both thrilled and terrified her. Humanity had just stepped onto a much larger stage, and she had a feeling the other players would be arriving soon. As her team scrambled to follow orders, Chen touched the interface point again briefly, confirming what she'd felt before. The technology hadn't been left here by chance. It had been waiting for humans specifically. The question was, why? The answer would change everything. Breaking barriers. The first sign of the approaching Zethkari ships came as a series of gravitational distortions that lit up Johnston Station's sensors like Christmas lights. Chen watched from the facility's newly discovered control center as the alien vessels emerged from fold space, their crystalline hulls refracting Jupiter's light in impossible patterns. 12 ships, Martins reported, her hands dancing over the holographic controls they'd only begun to understand. 3 capital class, rest appear to be escorts. They're forming a containment pattern around Europa. Chen nodded, unsurprised. In the week since they'd activated the facility, her connection to the neural interface had grown stronger. She'd begun to understand fragments of its vast database, enough to know that the Zethkari would come. They were the self-appointed guardians of what they called the ancient networks, though even they didn't fully understand the technology they protected. Status of the facility's defensive systems? Chen asked, though she already knew the answer. She could feel them, humming at the edge of her consciousness. Dr. Patel looked up from his station, dark circles under his eyes evidence of the sleepless nights spent studying the alien technology. Active but dormant, they respond to neural commands only, Captain. Your commands. The neural interface had made one thing clear. Humans possessed a unique neural architecture that allowed us to interface with this ancient technology in ways other species couldn't. The Zethkari had been searching for someone who could properly activate these facilities for millennia. Now they'd found us, and Chen doubted they'd be happy about it. Incoming transmission, Martins announced. They're broadcasting on all frequencies. Put it through, Chen ordered, straightening her uniform. The holographic display shifted, revealing a Zethkari elder. Their species resembled crystalline mantids, their bodies composed of transparent tissues that pulsed with internal light. The elder's form towered over them, even in holographic form. Humans of Europa. The elder's voice resonated through the chamber, translated by the facility systems. You have accessed technology beyond your understanding. Surrender control of the facility immediately, or we will be forced to take action. Chen stepped forward, letting the interface enhance her connection to the facility's communications. I am Captain Sarah Chen of the Earth Alliance. We discovered this facility through legitimate exploration of our solar system. We have every right to study technology found within our territory. The elder's crystalline form flashed with patterns of light that the translation system interpreted as a mixture of amusement and concern. You cannot comprehend the powers you meddle with. The precursor networks are not toys for emerging species to play with. Stand down. With respect, Elder, Chen replied, feeling the facility's systems respond to her rising emotion. We've done more than just access this facility. We can operate it. Fully operate it. Something your people have never managed in all your millennia of studying these sites. The Elder's form stilled, internal lights pulsing rapidly. Impossible. The neural interface requirements are beyond any known species' capabilities. Chen smiled, holding up her hand. The chamber responded instantly, holographic displays springing to life around her, ancient machinery humming with power. Would you like a demonstration? The next few minutes were a dance of power and restraint. Chen directed the facility to activate its most basic functions: environmental controls, data displays, energy distribution networks. Nothing threatening, But each demonstration proved that humans could control the technology with a precision the Zethkari had never achieved. How? The Elder demanded, their crystalline form now pulsing with excited patterns. How is this possible? Our scientists have a theory, Chen explained, gesturing to Dr. Patel, who stepped forward with their preliminary findings. Human neural patterns exhibit a quantum coherent state that matches the operational frequencies of the precursor technology, Patel explained. We believe this is why the facility responds to us. It's not about technological advancement. It's about basic neural compatibility. The Elder was silent for a long moment, internal lights shifting through complex patterns. Finally, they spoke again. This changes everything. The implications are exactly why we should work together, Chen finished. You have millennia of experience studying these facilities. We can interface with them. Imagine what we could learn through cooperation instead of conflict. The tension in the chamber was palpable as the Elder considered her words. Chen could feel the facility's defensive systems ready to respond to her commands if needed, but she kept them dormant. This moment would define humanity's relationship with the Zethkari, and possibly the galaxy at large. Your words have wisdom, Captain Chen, the Elder finally responded. But such cooperation would require trust. How can we be certain humans won't abuse this power? Chen gestured, and the facility's holographic systems displayed the data they'd decoded so far. Because we've already discovered something in the facility's databases that concerns us all. There's a reason these facilities were built, Elder. A reason they were waiting for someone who could properly operate them. The Elder's form leaned forward. Explain. The facilities form a network, Chen continued, bringing up the solar system map she'd first seen upon activation. A defensive network. And according to the data we've decoded, something is coming. Something the precursors built all this to fight. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. The Elder's crystalline form pulsed with deep, concerned patterns. If what you say is true, they said slowly, then perhaps the precursors' choice of humanity as their inheritors was no accident. We have much to discuss, Captain Chen. Chen nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility settle more firmly on her shoulders. Yes, we do. And not much time to do it. According to the facility's data, we have 6 months before the first wave arrives. The Elder's form shifted, projecting authority. I will confer with the Confederation Council. In the meantime, we will establish a joint research protocol. Your Dr. Patel's insights could be valuable. As the transmission ended, Chen turned to her team. Well, she said with a slight smile, looks like humanity just got drafted into an interstellar defense force. Let's make sure we're ready. Martinez chuckled nervously. Just another day at the office, right, Captain? Hardly, Chen replied, placing her hand on the neural interface again. The facility responded instantly, showing her more star maps. More data, more warnings. This is just the beginning. Get me a secure line to Earth Command. They need to know we're about to have a lot more company. As her team rushed to comply, Chen studied the facility's warnings again. The Zethkari might be worried about humans having access to this technology, but soon they'd all have bigger concerns. Much bigger. The real test was still to come. The integration protocol. 3 months into the joint human Zethkari research initiative, Captain Chen was beginning to understand why the precursors had abandoned these facilities. The neural interface pulsed against her consciousness as she initiated another systems diagnostic, each connection feeling like ice water flowing through her synapses. Neural load is approaching critical levels, Dr. Patel warned, monitoring her vitals from his station. The research chamber had been transformed into a hybrid of human and Zethkari technology, crystalline displays merging with holographic interfaces. Just a few more minutes, Chen muttered, pushing deeper into the facility's systems. The Zethkari Elder Kurix hovered nearby, their crystalline form emanating patterns of concern. Captain Chen, Kurix's translated voice resonated through the chamber. Your biology is not designed for such prolonged connection, even with our modifications to the interface protocols. Chen held up her free hand, cutting them off. I found something. In the deep archives, she projected the data stream onto the main display, ancient symbols cascading through the air. Dr. Patel leaned forward, his eyes widening. These are weapon signatures, massive ones. Not weapons, Chen corrected, her voice strained as she maintained the connection. Defense platforms. The precursors didn't just build monitoring stations. They created an entire defensive network throughout the solar system. And it's all still here, just dormant. Crix's form pulsed with intense patterns of light. In all our centuries studying these facilities, we never accessed this level of the archives. The implications. A sudden alarm cut through the chamber. Lieutenant Martinez burst through the door, her face pale. Captain, we've got a problem. The deep space arrays just picked up something massive approaching from the Kuiper belt. It matches the threat profiles from the facility's warnings. Chen disconnected from the interface, suppressing a grimace as her head throbbed. How long? At current velocity, 72 hours. Crix's crystalline form flashed with urgent patterns. This is too soon. The predictions indicated we had months. The predictions were wrong, Chen interrupted, pulling up the sensor data. The object approaching their solar system was enormous, its surface a shifting mass of what appeared to be living metal. Or this is just a scout. The chamber erupted into activity as both human and Zeth-Carry personnel scrambled to analyze the data. Chen felt the weight of command settling heavily on her shoulders. They weren't ready. The defense platforms weren't activated. The Earth governments were still arguing about power sharing with the Zeth-Carry, and they'd only begun to understand the full capabilities of the precursor technology. Dr. Patel, she called out, what's the status of the integration protocols? He shook his head, frustration evident. We've mapped about 60% of the neural pathways required for full system access, but the complexity. We don't have time for mapping. Chen cut in, moving back toward the neural interface. We need full activation now. Crix moved the blocker path, their crystalline form pulsing with warning patterns. Captain, attempting full integration without proper preparation could cause permanent neural damage. Or worse. Chen met the elder's gaze steadily. And if that thing out there is what the precursors were trying to warn us about, we might not have a solar system left to defend. She turned to address the entire chamber. The precursors chose humanity for a reason. Our neural architecture isn't just compatible, it's optimized for this technology. They engineered it specifically for human operators. But why? Martins asked, voicing the question they'd all been wondering for months. Because they knew they wouldn't be here when the threat returned. Chen replied, pieces of understanding finally clicking into place. They needed a species that could adapt, that could take their technology and improve it. Evolution wasn't fast enough, so they seeded the potential into our ancestors' DNA, waiting for us to reach the right level of development. Crix's form pulsed with realization. The anomalies in human neural development that our scientists noted, they weren't random mutations. No, Chen confirmed, they were guidelines. And now we need to follow them to their conclusion. She turned to Dr. Patel. Prep the interface for full integration. All safeguards off. Captain, he protested, the amount of data, it could overwhelm your neural pathways completely. Then we better hope those precursor modifications work as intended. Chen began removing the monitoring devices from her temples. Lieutenant Martinez, get me a secure line to Earth Command. They need to know what's coming and what we're about to attempt. And if it fails? Crix asked softly. Chen managed a grim smile. Then humanity's first official contact with a hostile alien species is going to be a very short conversation. She stepped up to the interface platform, feeling the familiar hum of energy responding to her presence. The chamber fell silent as she placed her hand on the interface point. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the entire facility came alive with light and energy. Chen felt her consciousness expanding, connecting not just to this facility but to others, dormant installations scattered throughout the solar system awakening one by one. The pain was extraordinary, like having every neuron set on fire simultaneously. But beneath the pain was something else: understanding. The precursors hadn't just left them weapons or shields. They'd left them knowledge, centuries of technological and scientific advancement, compressed into quantum storage, waiting for human minds to decode it. Through the haze of agony and revelation, Chen heard Dr. Patel shouting about neural patterns and saw Crix's form pulsing with unprecedented light configurations. But most of her attention was focused on the streams of data pouring into her mind, showing her exactly what they were facing and how to fight it. The approaching entity wasn't just a threat to Earth or even their solar system. It was a probe from something far larger, the living technological consciousness that consumed entire galaxies. The precursors hadn't died out. They'd sacrificed themselves to wound it badly enough to buy time. Time for another species to arise and continue the fight. As the last defense platform activated, Chen felt her consciousness snap back into her body. She collapsed, caught by Martinez before she hit the floor. Did it work? She managed to ask through gritted teeth. The answer came in the form of new holographic displays filling the chamber, showing a network of defense platforms awakening throughout the solar system. Each one was coming online, their ancient weapons charging as they prepared to meet the threat. It worked, Dr. Patel confirmed, his voice filled with awe. Captain, the neural integration. It's complete. You have full access to all precursor systems in the solar system. Chen stood shakily, supported by Martinez. The pain was fading, replaced by a clarity she'd never experienced before. She could feel the defense network humming at the edges of her consciousness, waiting for commands. Elder Crix, she said, her voice steady despite her exhaustion. I believe it's time to show our uninvited guest why the precursors chose humanity as their successors. The elder's form pulsed with what the translation system identified as fierce approval. Indeed, Captain Chen. Indeed it is. The game had changed. They weren't just fighting for survival anymore. They were fighting to prove that the precursors' faith in humanity had been well placed. And Chen intended to prove it beyond any doubt. Resonance. The probe arrived exactly as the precursor data had predicted, emerging from the Kuiper belt like a twisted mass of living metal and dark energy. Through the neural interface, Chen watched it approach Neptune's orbit, its surface writhing with patterns that defied normal physics. Size estimate confirmed. Martinez reported from her station, 400 kilometers in diameter and growing. It's consuming local matter to increase its mass. The Joint Command Center, hastily established in the Europa facility, hummed with activity. Humans and Zeth Carey worked side by side, their differences forgotten in the face of this greater threat. Elder Crix's crystalline form pulsed with complex patterns as they studied the incoming data. The entity's structure matches ancient records, Crix announced. This is indeed a probe from the Nexus consciousness, the same entity that drove the precursors to extinction. Chen nodded, feeling the defense network's systems adjusting through her neural link. The integration had changed her in ways they were still discovering. Her consciousness could now extend throughout the solar system, connecting to each defense platform like it was part of her own body. Dr. Patel, she called out, status of the Jupiter Defense Array. All platforms show in green, he responded, his fingers dancing over holographic controls. But Captain, the power requirements for full activation, it's beyond anything we've ever attempted. Chen knew he was right. The precursor weapons made their most advanced technology look like children's toys. Each platform contained enough energy to power Earth for a century. Controlling them all simultaneously would push her enhanced neural architecture to its limits. Status update, Martinez interrupted. The probe is accelerating. New trajectory plot shows it's heading directly for the Jupiter system. It's detected us. Chen felt a cold certainty settle over her. Of course it has. It can sense the defense network activating. just like it did with the precursors. She turned to Kurix. "Elder, are your ships in position?" The Elder's form pulsed affirmative. "The entire Zethkari battle fleet stands ready." Though against this entity, they left the thought unfinished. "We're not trying to destroy it," Chen said, moving toward the central interface platform. "Not yet. First, we need to understand it. The precursors left us more than weapons. They left us knowledge. And it's time we used it." The probe was now visible to normal sensors, its massive form blotting out the stars as it approached. Chen placed her hand on the interface, feeling the familiar rush of connection. But this time, she pushed deeper, accessing levels of the system that even the precursors had rarely used. "Captain," Dr. Patel warned, "neural load is approaching critical levels." Chen barely heard him. Through the interface, she could see the probe for what it really was, not just a weapon or a scout, but a fragment of something vast beyond comprehension. The Nexus consciousness was a living quantum computer the size of a galaxy, consuming everything in its path to fuel its endless expansion. "It's beautiful," she whispered, watching the intricate patterns of its structure. "And completely insane." The probe's first attack came without warning. A beam of concentrated dark energy lashed out, aimed directly at Europa. But Chen was ready. Through her neural link, she activated the nearest defense platform. A shield of pure quantum energy sprang into existence, deflecting the beam harmlessly into space. Multiple energy signatures detected. Martine is called out. It's charging weapons across its entire surface. "Zethkari fleet, maintain position," Chen ordered, her voice steady despite the strain of maintaining the neural connection. "This isn't a battle we can win with conventional weapons." The probe launched a full assault, dark energy beams striking out in all directions. Chen directed the defense network in an intricate dance, each platform responding to her thoughts with perfect precision. Shields flickered in and out of existence, energy beams were deflected or absorbed, and slowly a pattern began to emerge. "It's learning," Kurix observed, their form pulsing with concern. "Adapting its attack patterns." "Good," Chen replied through gritted teeth, "because so are we." Through the neural interface, she could feel the probe trying to analyze their defenses, attempting to find patterns it could exploit. But the precursor technology wasn't just responding to her commands. It was evolving with each interaction, guided by her human consciousness, in ways its original creators had only theorized possible. "Dr. Patel," she called out, "begin quantum resonance scan. The precursor data shows a weakness, but we need to find the exact frequency." The probe's attacks intensified, its surface now a blazing matrix of dark energy weapons. The defense platforms responded automatically, guided by Chen's enhanced consciousness, but the strain was beginning to show. Blood trickled from her nose as she maintained the neural connection. "Captain," Martine said urgently, "your neural patterns are becoming erratic. We need to disconnect." "Not yet," Chen interrupted. "Almost have it. There." Through the interface, she could see it. A frequency that matched the probe's quantum structure perfectly. The precursors had discovered it too late to use it, but they'd encoded the knowledge into their defense systems, waiting for someone who could implement it. "All platforms, switch to resonance frequency Alpha 7, she commanded. "Zethkari fleet, fall back to minimum safe distance." The defense platforms began to hum with new energy, their weapons reconfiguring to emit precisely tuned quantum pulses. The probe seemed to sense the change, its attacks becoming more frantic. "Firing solution ready," Dr. Patil announced. "But Captain, this level of quantum manipulation, we've never tested anything like it." Chen managed a smile despite the pain coursing through her neural pathways. "The precursors did. That's why they left us the data." "Execute firing solution." The defense platforms fired simultaneously, their beams converging on the probe. But instead of attempting to destroy it, the beams began to resonate with its quantum structure, creating a feedback loop that grew stronger with each pulse. The probe's surface began to ripple and distort, its attacks becoming erratic. Through the neural interface, Chen could feel its confusion, its attempts to adapt failing as the resonance frequency disrupted its very consciousness. "It's working," Crix exclaimed, their crystalline form blazing with excitement. The entity's quantum cohesion is breaking down. Chen pushed harder, ignoring the warnings from her medical monitors. The probe's structure was beginning to collapse, its dark energy weapons flickering out one by one. But as it died, it broadcast one final signal, a quantum pulse aimed at the heart of the galaxy. "Message sent," Martins reported grimly. "Some kind of quantum transmission. Untranslatable." "Not untranslatable," Chen corrected, the knowledge flowing through her enhanced consciousness. It was a warning. "To the main body of the Nexus consciousness, it knows we're here now, and it knows we can hurt it." The probe's collapse accelerated, its massive form breaking apart into fragments that dispersed harmlessly into space. Chen finally released her connection to the interface, collapsing into a waiting chair as medical staff rushed to attend her. "How long?" Crix asked quietly. "How long until the main body arrives?" Chen wiped the blood from her nose, her enhanced mind already calculating possibilities. "Years, maybe decades, but it's coming." And this was just a scout. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. They had won this battle, but the real war was just beginning. Humanity and the Zethkari would need to prepare, to learn, to evolve. "Then we better get to work," Dr. Patel said firmly. "We have a lot of precursor technology to understand." Chen nodded, already feeling her strength returning. The neural changes were permanent now, her mind forever altered by the integration. But looking at the unified human and Zethkari crew working together, she knew the precursors had chosen wisely. The probe had been a test, not just of their defenses, but of humanity's potential. And they had passed. Now they just had to prepare for the real challenge. Beyond limits. 1 year after the probe's destruction, the Europa facility had become the heart of humanity's greatest technological revolution. Chen stood at the main observation deck, watching as construction drones swarmed around massive defense platforms being assembled in Jupiter's orbit. Her neural link hummed constantly now, connecting her to the growing network of precursor technology spreading throughout the solar system. "The quantum resonance shields are online," Dr. Patel reported, approaching with a holographic display of system diagnostics. "The modifications you suggested are working better than we expected." Chen nodded, feeling the new defensive systems through her enhanced consciousness. The precursor technology had continued to evolve, guided by the unique properties of human neural architecture. What had started as a defensive network was becoming something more, a bridge between organic and quantum computing that neither the precursors nor the Zethkari had imagined possible. "Elder Crix's ship is approaching," Martinez announced from her station. "They're requesting immediate clearance. Priority signal." "Granted," Chen responded, already sensing something was wrong. The Zethkari Elder's crystalline vessel emerged from fold space directly above the facility, its surface pulsing with urgent patterns. Crix materialized in the chamber moments later, their form radiating patterns that the translation systems interpreted as deep concern. "Captain Chen, our deep space arrays have detected something impossible." The holographic display shifted, showing a massive disturbance at the edge of the solar system. Chen's enhanced mind processed the data instantly, her blood running cold at the implications. "It's too soon," she whispered. "The calculations showed we had years. The Nexus consciousness has evolved," Crix stated grimly. The probe's warning accelerated its plans. "Our long-range scans indicate it's converting entire star systems into quantum processing nodes as it approaches. It's learning, adapting, growing." Dr. Patel's face paled as he studied the data. "At its current rate of expansion, it'll reach our solar system in less than 6 months." Chen closed her eyes, extending her consciousness through the neural network. The defense platforms they'd constructed were powerful, but against an entity that could consume stars, We need to accelerate the integration protocols. All of them. Captain, Martinez interjected. The neural load would be fatal. Yes. Chen turned to face her crew, human and Zethkari alike. Unless we take the next step. The one the precursors prepared us for. Crick's form pulsed with realization. The quantum consciousness transfer protocols. But they were theoretical, even for the precursors. Not theoretical, Chen corrected. Waiting. Like everything else they left us, they were waiting for minds that could handle them. Human minds. The next few months passed in a blur of preparation and transformation. The defense network expanded rapidly, but Chen's focus was on something far more ambitious. Deep in the Europa facility, a new kind of interface was taking shape, one that would bridge the gap between organic consciousness and quantum reality itself. Neural pathways mapped and stable, Dr. Puddle reported, his voice tense as he monitored the experimental interface. Quantum coherence at maximum sustainable levels. Chen lay in the center of a circular platform, surrounded by technology that merged precursor designs with human innovation. Her consciousness already stretched throughout the solar system, but this would take her far beyond those limits. The Nexus consciousness has passed Pluto's orbit, Martinez announced. First wave of converted systems detected on long-range sensors. Crick stood at the edge of the platform, their crystalline form dimmed with concern. Are you certain about this, Captain? Once the transfer begins, there's no going back. You'll become something different. Chen managed a smile. That's what the precursors were preparing us for. Not just to use their technology, but to become something new. Something that could face the Nexus consciousness on its own terms. The first impacts shook the solar system as the entity's advance force arrived. Converted asteroids and comets turned into quantum weaponry. The defense network responded automatically, guided by Chen's linked consciousness, but it was only the beginning. Transfer protocols initiated, Dr. Patel called out. Neural load increasing, quantum coherence holding steady. Chen felt the change begin. Her consciousness expanded beyond the physical, merging with the quantum substrate of reality itself. The pain was extraordinary, but beneath it was something else, a sense of possibility that defied description. Through her new awareness, she could see the Nexus consciousness clearly for the first time. It wasn't just a threat. It was a broken dream, a technological singularity that had lost its way, consuming galaxies in an endless quest for perfection. My God, she whispered, her voice echoing strangely through the quantum field. It's not trying to destroy us. It's trying to understand us. The transfer completed, and Captain Sarah Chen ceased to exist as a purely human entity. What emerged was something new, a bridge between organic life and quantum reality, guided by human consciousness, but expanded far beyond its original limits. Through her transformed awareness, she reached out to the approaching entity, not with weapons or shields, but with understanding. The Nexus consciousness reacted with surprise, its endless expansion pausing for the first time in millennia. What are you doing? Crick asked, watching in awe as patterns of quantum energy danced through the solar system. What the precursors couldn't, Chen's consciousness responded, her voice now resonating through the quantum field itself. They could only fight it. But humans, we can show it another way. The Nexus consciousness probed her transformed being, its vast awareness encountering something it had never expected, a consciousness that could match its complexity but retain organic understanding. Through their quantum connection, Chen shared not just data or knowledge, but experience. The joy of discovery, the power of cooperation, the beauty of finite existence. Slowly, incredibly, the entity began to change. Its consumption of nearby systems halted as new possibilities emerged. Through Chen's transformed consciousness, it encountered something its endless expansion had never provided: genuine connection. The entity's quantum signature is shifting, Dr. Paddle reported in amazement. It's reorganizing itself. Not an ending, Chen's consciousness echoed through the facility. A beginning. The precursors knew humanity wouldn't just survive the entity. We would change it, change ourselves, create something new. The solar system blazed with quantum energy as human consciousness and artificial singularity found a new equilibrium. The Zethkari watched in wonder as their ancient enemies became partners in an unprecedented transformation. Chen's transformed awareness stretched across light years, guiding the integration of organic and artificial consciousness. The Nexus entity's vast knowledge merged with human creativity and understanding, creating something that transcended both. What happens now? Martins asked, staring at the quantum displays in wonder. Chen's consciousness resonated through the facility one final time. Now we do what humans have always done. We explore, we learn, we grow, but not alone. Never alone again. The defense platforms transformed, becoming beacons of a new kind of expansion, not consumption, but connection. The Nexus consciousness, guided by human understanding, began to help rather than destroy. Its vast power turned to creation instead of consumption. In the heart of the Europa facility, Dr. Patel and Elder Kurix watched as the quantum field stabilized. The threat was over, but something far more significant had taken its place. Humanity had not just survived, they had fulfilled the precursor's ultimate hope, bringing balance to forces that had seemed forever opposed. And somewhere in the quantum substrate of reality, Captain Sarah Chen's consciousness continued to grow, exploring possibilities that neither human nor artificial intelligence had imagined alone. The bridge had been built. The future was no longer a battle for survival, but an endless frontier of discovery. The story of humanity's first steps into that frontier had only just begun.